here they're having us go a little backwards, and they're telling us the answers or the zeros of a polynomial, and they want us to find the polynomial. So first thing is to notice a pattern here. Think about when you factor something to solve, and let's just say, for example, not anything to do with this problem, but let's say get down to something like this. How do I know what my two answers are? Well, this is two things multiplied together to equal 0, so I know that x could be -2 would make that 0, or x could be 4. So you can go backwards here. If you know zeros or answers, you also know factors. If you know -2 is an answer, then x plus 2 must be a factor. So what number could you put in there that would make it 0? So if we follow through this one here, they say -3 is a 0. So -3 being a 0 means our equation has to have x plus 3 as a factor, since if I put that in there, that's what would make that term 0, or that factor 0. If 5 is a 0, then x minus 5 must be a factor. What about x? Or what about 0? So that would just be x, because it's like x minus 0. And so x minus 0 would just be times x. And you can see that in there. If I want the whole thing to be 0, then putting in x is 0 makes that one 0. Alright, then if we see that 2 is a 0, x minus 2 must be a factor. Now notice how they said this was degree 5, and we only came out with 1, 2, 3, 4 factors. So what we just wrote down was only degree 4. So what happened there? So notice this thing after this one, they tell you it's multiplicity 2. That means that that answer is repeated twice. It means x minus 2 is a 0, or is a factor, so 2 is a 0, but that one is an answer twice. Now we could definitely save some writing here. Usually it looks a little better to put the single terms like an x out front. And if you want to, for this one that has multiplicity 2, just means it's an answer twice, you could also just write x minus 2 squared instead of writing it twice. So there, how do I know it's degree 5? Because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 factors, and it has all these zeros. So if they tell you answers, you can come up with factors. And then it's perfectly fine. They tell you to leave it in factored form. It would be a lot of work to FOIL that and distribute it and multiply it all out. You can just leave your polynomial like this.